We've been talking about digital and AI, and they have a tendency to be things that are digital channels, but digital channels don't have to necessarily mean that there aren't humans involved. And so the importance really of this unified experience that we talk about, whether it's customers reaching out via chatbots or social media or email or on the phone, is critical for businesses. And in the US in particular, we're starting to actually adopt international communication tools like WhatsApp. I was doing a little bit of a study on this, and actually the United States has become the #1 user base for WhatsApp. That's a big development. And yet it's poorly represented as an available contact center channel in the United States. The same thing is really true for social listening. So when it comes to RingCentral, how does RingCentral work to help businesses overcome these channel silos and deliver a connected customer journey?
Frank, I'm so glad you asked. I've been trumpeting this effort now for a decade. And my background comes from digital and social media. I then switched over into once AI really started infringing on our territory. Now it's kind of one big happy family. There's so much opportunity for companies to connect with their customer base and prospective customer base on the channel where each of those customers feels most comfortable, right? Like if you pick up the phone and call, like, okay, I want to talk on the phone, but most of us don't do that, right? Most of us either send a text message, send an Instagram DM, a tweet, like whatever the case is, right? And if a customer is reaching out to you on that channel, they made that choice. Why steer them clear? Why not just have a system that's set up to handle that, do it effectively, and be done with it? Like we've seen every study that's come out has shown huge increases in customer satisfaction from allowing customers to choose their channel of choice. Like that should be common knowledge now. You bring up a really interesting one, and I think we can go a little bit further on WhatsApp. Like at the end of the day, we are a huge melting pot as a country. We have folks come from all over the world. And the #1 app that they use to communicate with their friends and family back home is WhatsApp, right? And if that's where they live, like just let them live there. Like just have an easy way for them to communicate with you on WhatsApp. You'll have a customer for life. One of my best friends, quick personal story, is from Mexico City. We went to grad school together, but he lives here now in Dallas, Texas. He has an American phone plan. We communicate exclusively on WhatsApp, right? That's where he lives. That's what he does. That's where he likes to do business. Like just make it easy for him. He's an affluent individual. If you want to do business, have WhatsApp readily available.
His scope is international, right? So like he doesn't want to go to one app for his international friends that are off continent, and he doesn't want to have a different app for the people that he's working with here in the US. He wants to have like a single pane of glass. I mean, that's what we're all really working for. And if a person has chosen that particular tool or that particular medium to communicate across the board, we have to meet people there.
Yeah, you said it very succinctly. Absolutely. And it's still early enough in the game that if you're out there thinking about it, this can be a great competitive differentiator. I mean, that is such an easy win for you as a company. I'd say the other big one, if you're not familiar, is Apple Messaging for Business. It used to be called Apple Business Chat. And if you're unfamiliar, it's simply iPhone texting. It's using that Apple iMessaging ecosystem. And if you're thinking about SMS and in the same breath aren't also thinking about Apple Messaging for Business, you've misunderstood what SMS actually is and what text messaging actually is. So definitely look into that. All of these channels were sort of designed with AI in mind and being able to deploy a bot. So I think that's a nice segue into what we were just talking about, is you don't have to be afraid of turning these channels on and then overwhelming your contact center with volume. There's a very smart way to do it while deploying AI to be able to have this be a win-win all the way around.
Yeah, it's really interesting as we've moved into a digital economy. So much of how people transact and how people communicate is done in a mobile sense. So, you know, if you're going to go to a hotel, you're not waiting to get to the hotel and check in and have a conversation about something that you might be wanting to do there. You may actually be doing that in the back of the Uber on the way to the hotel. This is kind of the frictionless environment that we're moving into. And if your technology does not meet people on those various different mediums, you're going to lose out, and people are going to select other companies, other brands. And we know that ultimately today, right now, it takes One bad experience for a person to completely drop maybe a lifetime of doing business with that company just because they don't feel that company is in touch anymore, or they don't value their business anymore, or they created potentially a problem in their schedule or in their flow of the day that they can't have that anymore. So they move to another provider that will meet them where they need to be. And it's just that tolerance is so little now that I don't understand sometimes why there is a reticence to want to bridge beyond the email, bridge beyond the simple chat, bridge beyond the voice, and to get into all these other channels. I mean, right away, you will probably maybe open up a new audience and maybe serve an audience that's underserved, and you had no idea that they were starting to fall away.
So, and it's a very good philosophical question that you raised, Frank. How good are humans at change? Absolutely. I think you might be a little bit biased. I'm sure I'm biased as well.
Yes.
But I think change is always, there's always some fear associated with that.
There is.
Whether it comes to digital channels or AI, I think the best way to overcome that fear is simply education. Is it going to take a little extra time? Absolutely. But is it worth it in the end? 100%. So if you're afraid of your job or, of technology replacing your job, the better educated you become, the more you learn about these tools and realize that if you master them, you'll be in pole position to take advantage of them, not be taken advantage by. And I think that's so important in everything that we do. Don't be afraid. Like, go get it. It's there to help you if you make it so.
You told that story about your friend. I'll tell a story. One time I was out on a business visit to a client, and as I got ready in the hotel, I was putting on my shoes, I was sitting on the bed, and I'm watching the television and a morning business show, and they're speaking to somebody who was driving a lot of innovation in the healthcare environment, and they were providing a lot of telehealth, and they were interviewing this leader of this company, and he was just a very direct individual. And they said, well, what about your competition? And he said, my competition is dead and they don't even know it.
Yeah.
It was like being punched in the face with a reality of part of our ability to be sustainable, our ability to survive is our ability to adapt. And so sometimes you have to be proactive. You don't need to be bleeding edge. You certainly can be leading edge. And I think that right now there is maybe a little bit of an opportunity to win by being an early adopter around these tech.
100%. Disruption always creates opportunity.